The first thing that we're going to start talking about today is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Everybody knows him from the WWE, formerly known as the WWF. If you're a fan of that, my man's purchased with the team, purchased the XFL out of bankruptcy for about $15 million. That's incredible. Now, if you don't know what's going on with this, the XFL is a football production. Okay. And this football production is supposed to be faster, a little more adept. It's kind of an all-inclusive game, right, of football. The players are paid differently, and it was around in the early 2000s, late 90s, can't really remember right now. But basically, the XFL was brought about by Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon owns the WWE. He has been the CEO of the WWE for a long, long time. He is quite the showman. He is quite the entrepreneur. He really built an incredible network. And if you've ever had a chance to look up the history of the WWE, WWF, the battles they went through with Time Turner, and then the battles they went through with the WCW and things like that are just really incredible for the company itself. And I know there's a lot of people, well, wrestling's fake. Of course it's fake, but there's still acrobats. There's still people who do a lot of things in a ring that we can't do. Well, Vince McMahon created a football league years ago, 20 years ago. And this football league had a lot of crossovers between wrestlers and football. Now, a lot of wrestlers have come from football, especially modern day wrestlers. If you look at their backgrounds, a lot of them have like a lot of athletic scholarships, whether it be like some type of sport or modeling or something. And Vince McMahon created a football league, and it didn't really do well. I think they went about 3 seasons back then, 2 or 3 seasons, and then it kind of crapped out, and it was what it was. Well, in 2016, I believe that's when we saw it all. I think 2016, 2017, we saw some things happening in the NFL that a lot of people didn't like. They didn't really feel connected to. They didn't really, it wasn't for them. And Vince McMahon was one of those people, and he said, you know what, I'm going to bring back the XFL. We're not going to have wrestling crossover. It's going to be an actual football sport. Basically, here's the rules. You don't like it, get out. It's going to be a faster game, less commercials, there's going to be some changes to how the game is played, and there were some definite changes to how that game was played. Their kickoffs. I actually really hope the NFL adopts the kickoff from the XFL. It was super good. I mean, really, really good to see, that type of play style and how they did it. The players would wait. The kickoff would happen. Nobody would move until the ball was caught. That meant there was no defense full-on charging in offense at high rate of speed and just creaming a guy who catches the ball, who barely just catches the ball and only gets a good start. So what this allows for the catcher to catch the ball and kind of get a good running start before anybody moves at him. So he's not running on hitting an object that's running faster than him because they've had more time to build up speed. Okay, because that's what all sports is. It's all about dynamics and physics. And when you have one force moving at a higher rate of speed and he's a little bit bigger than this force that's moving at a lower rate of speed, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to get hurt. And it's not going to be a good time. So we're seeing changes like that with the XFL that actually were really, really good. They were very fun, very adaptable. The showmanship was definitely there. One of the bigger things that I thought was very, very, very nice was seeing players from the NFL that were transitioned over to the XFL. That was really, really cool because you're seeing guys that, well, they couldn't quite cut the mustard in the NFL. If not, maybe cut the mustard. Maybe they just... Something happened with them in the NFL that, didn't work for them. It wasn't good. So they ended up going to the XFL and they got a chance. They got another chance to play ball. And these guys were playing hard. Now, the games were not NFL quality. I mean, you can go back and look at the season that we just recently had, and it was not NFL quality. And the reason why it went into bankruptcy was because of COVID-19. I mean, that's the unfortunate side was... It got hit with COVID. It was a brand new product. It only had one season. I think they had like 2 or 3 games left in the season to complete, and COVID hit, and it went into bankruptcy. So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson came in with, Danny Garcia Company and Redbird Capital, and they acquired the XFL. So they brought it out of bankruptcy. So we're going to see players and a lot of teams come back in. It's going to be, I'm really excited to see the growth of this sport. Now, I'm not the biggest NFL fan. I am an NFL fan. I do watch NFL, but I am not like your die-hardcore NFL fan. And the XFL, I actually watched more games of it this year than I did the last of the NFL. I have never been a massive fan of the NFL. I just kind of watched it here and there with my friends, and I have my team, and that is what it is. The XFL, I just like it mostly because it's new. It's not really new. I mean, it's been around before, but it's new, and it's refreshing to the idea and to the game. And I watch Canadian football as well as NFL, and I like watching it because it's a different game. It's played in a different area. It's done in a different way. It's very fun to watch these guys play. But I thought it was an interesting story that's going on. Danny Garcia, that's one of the purchasers that was one of the partners with Dwayne Johnson, and she is the first female owner of a major American sports league. I did not know that until I looked up the story about her. She is the first female owner of American sports league. That is amazing. And she flat out says Garcia plans for next season games. We are planning for it, so count on it. That's kind of her idea. She says that her and Dwayne Johnson are going to have a very hands-on approach with the sport. They're going to be taking a lot of time with it and kind of covering, well, not really baseball, but they're covering bases. So I'm curious to see how this goes. I mean, this was a Vince McMahon startup. He started it, and he put a lot of money into it. It went Chapter 11 bankrupt. I think that's what they were claiming. Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And Dwayne Johnson and his team are like, no, it ain't happening. I like to think that Dwayne is a guy that, I don't know. Hey, Dwayne, if you see this video, come talk to me, my guy. I'd like to think that Dwayne Johnson is a guy that, wants to help people in any way he can. And I think he sees a lot of potential in the guys that were in this league. And when he sees that, I mean, he's not going to let it squander. I mean, there's a lot of people that were counting on these paychecks. There's a lot of people that were counting on this to go somewhere, and they have families to feed. Now, again, when I was talking about how they're not paid like NFL players, they're not. NFL players are paid millions of dollars to play their games, and these guys had a little bit of a different structured way. I think it was like something like $2,200 that they were paid per game that they played, and then if they win, they would get an additional like $1,300 or $1,600 on top of that to be the winners of that game. So it's kind of like a different pay structure, and I think there was more things into it than that. I think there was some other contract stuff that they probably had to go through, but they weren't being paid as high as NFL players. And to me, they were still willing to play the game, so I felt like their heart may have been in it a little bit more. And Dwayne may have saw that. And if that's the case, that's fantastic. Danny Garcia, I mean, this lady just blows me away. Look into her story. She's absolutely fabulous of a person. She really wants to be a part of this, and I think that that's fantastic. I think that it promotes a lot of equality in the sport, and I think that that's totally necessary in football. I flat out say this, and you can hit me in the neck if you want. If you're a female and you want to play football with men, if you can take the hits as well as give them out, girl, get it. I mean, get out there and show those dudes what's up. I can literally give you like 10 people who I know would whip my butt in a fight, and they're all females. And I'm not going to say their names because if they know that I know that they could kick my butt, they may get an ego about it. And I don't want that to happen, so don't get any ideas, people. But no, I'm just saying, I think that women definitely deserve to be in the sport, and I think that this is a great step towards that. You look at Stephanie McMahon inside the WWE. She's making massive moves in the WWE for equality for women, and there's some really, honestly, some of the most beautifully humane things happening in the world when it comes to these types of things, and I love and respect the people that are behind them. Dwayne Johnson, Stephanie McMahon, Danny Garcia. I mean, all of them. Fabulous job. Keep it up.